Welcome. I'm Jeanette, the North End Coach. I'm so glad that you've joined me here today, where I really want to have a chat with you, particularly if you would describe yourself as somebody who is mid or later career, and you have a sneaking suspicion that a transition or a pivot or some kind of change is what is needed at this particular juncture. Sure, you could stay in your current circumstances. However, a decision to stay means you are agreeing to more of what is paining you at this point, right? The number of hours of meetings and work around the work. So the things, the politics, the other things that it takes to maintain your current position versus the very small fraction of time that you actually get to do the work that you enjoy. If you feel like, I don't know that I can sustain this, I really want something different in this next phase of my career, particularly when you see like retirement isn't the solution. It's too far away. And even if it were closer, that's not what you're really looking for because you enjoy the work. You just want to get closer to that work versus all of the chaos and static around getting to the work within an organization such as you're experiencing today. What I want to offer to you is an analogy at this point around what that might look like to consider a change where you're maybe thinking at this point, it's too much, it's too big. I'm not sure how to do that. I don't know if I have the capabilities to make that happen. So I want to offer you a very simple analogy around how that might look like a foundation of a house. So when we think about, the typical house that is staying in place in a neighborhood, one of the types of foundations that it could be built on is a slab. Or if it's not a slab, it's a foundation that is meant to stay in place. The house isn't going anywhere. And I'd offer that that is the version of the career that you have experienced so far. Because when you have been attached to, a W-2 in the US employment situation where you have an employer and they're sort of dictating all of the structure around advancement, promotion, how things work, that you have organized your skills and your experiences and what it looks like to have a career trajectory built off a very solid or slab-based foundation, because that's what's been called for. That's the model that you came into. And so the alternative that I'd like you to consider at this point is, what would it look like if you transitioned those skills, experiences, etc., and attach them to a portable foundation, right? Like the idea of, if you can picture, the tiny house on the trailer that can be literally moved from one location to another. That's what I'm suggesting might be a different model to consider at this point. So how can you literally make the very important pieces of your career experience within the W-2 structure? How can you take those off of the slab or, solid foundation that's not going to move anywhere? How can you move those to something that's portable and movable and flexible and can take you in a number of different directions? And to just put a little bit more detail around that back in the career world, those different directions that may take you at this point are things like, maybe you're going to take your expertise and move it into some sort of a consulting sort of a position. Maybe you're going to take your skills and expertise into a fractional role where, you're taking that and coming into other organizations and filling in on a temporary basis based on your experience in the particular area that you've built your career on. Or maybe it's some sort of a portfolio approach to it where you have a variety of different things. Maybe you do have some part-time W-2 employment. Maybe another portion of it is some contract work. Maybe you're have space in how you're utilizing your time to develop some pro bono, passion work, etc. These are just some of the different possibilities that are more portable and flexible. So the question is, how can we move those experiences across to the new portable foundation? You may have been thinking, well, no, there's no possibility to it. And what I'm offering to you in this conversation today is, yes, those are things that are portable. When you make the decision to go do something else that offers you more of the flexibility and options at this point, you're not leaving with zero. You're taking some bags with you. You get to take some luggage and put it on that new flexible and movable foundation. So I'll be back. We'll talk more about what this looks like from, the technicalities of it. But I just wanted to offer that hope for you today, that making a transition at this point in your career doesn't mean leaving everything back behind on the slab, solid foundation. You still have portability to attach it to a new foundation that has more flexibility and movement to it. If I can be of assistance to you in, a little bit of strategizing, I'd be happy to do that. I have a free 45-minute career strategy session available. If you so choose, I'll put the link in the description box. All right, I hope you have a good week ahead. Thank you for joining me here today, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.